Hi, I'm Nico Brooks, one of the co-founders of 2Octobers, and we just became B Corp certified. If you're not familiar with B Corp certification, it means that we've met the highest verified standards of social and environmental accountability. Everybody at 2Octobers was involved in the process of getting us certified, so I thought it would be fun to talk to people about how the process went and what it means to be certified. First up, I'm going to talk to Chris Skavish, 2Octobers co-founder, about why we started down this road in the first place.
When we started the business, we had a view of creating a business that wasn't just for our own benefit, but really was the kind of place that we wanted to work, that was good for employees and challenging and interesting and full of good people. And as we grew, I think the desire to make that bigger and better has always been with us. So when we found out about B Corp became a way of transmitting to the outside world that we do what we say we do, that we're focused not just on things that are good for employees, like good pay and good leave policies and all of that kind of stuff, but also that there's more that we care about than just what's going on inside the business. We care about what's going on in our community, both locally and globally. We care about the environment. These are things our employees care about. They're things that Nico and I personally care about. And what B Corp has provided for us is a structure and framework to improve those things, to think about those things, and to use our business to impact more than just inside our four walls.
A lot of the work behind getting certified is done using the B Impact Assessment. The B Impact Assessment is an online tool that gives you a score of how you're doing and gives you resources to help improve your score. The B Impact Assessment has different sections, and within each section are different questions. And as you go into each question, it has resources that help you understand what could you be doing better, how could you be doing better, and tools for improving your score. So everybody in the team was working on different questions in the assessments. I highly recommend checking it out, even if you're not necessarily interested in becoming B Corp certified. It's a great free tool for seeing how you do with regards to social impact, environmental impact.
The website was pretty helpful in being pretty specific of what we needed to work on. And so that was nice. There wasn't that many vague things. It was very helpful to know specifically like what we had to improve on and lots of documentation.
Explicit documentation is something that I remember a lot from the process. Obviously, that is not a super interesting thing, but I think there was a general sense about a lot of the topics that we went over in the B Corp certification that we were already doing it. But I think what we really lacked was formal processes or formal structure.
The one thing that I learned is how much of a paperwork we had to do. That was a big thing.
I mentioned that everyone in the organization was part of the process. And the way that that worked is we took topics from the B Impact Assessment and we created 4 main topic areas, which for us were community, workers, environment, and diversity and inclusion. And then everybody in the team joined one of those groups, and each group tackled topics in the assessment specific to that group and did research, really articulated our values, came up with policies and procedures, and just basically did the work towards getting us certified. So this process of tackling organizational, challenges, opportunities in a distributed way is something we've been doing for years. So everybody's very familiar with it, and it worked really well in this case.
I think sort of the organizational structure of the process really stood out for me, since it was kind of my first big project within 2 Octobers. So it's kind of interesting to see how it wasn't just a company that pushed things down a ladder. It was more collaborative, which I thought was really wonderful. And it was really interesting how everyone had a voice on this project and no one really spoke over anyone, and all ideas were really thought about by the group.
Pretty cool that we decided on a lot of the things in small groups, and we had a lot of time to talk over criteria and kind of discussing how we fit into that and how we can change to fit into that. But that was more than anything like an enlightening process of thinking about things I wouldn't normally think about and realizing that they actually matter to me.
I don't know how most organizations go through the B Corp process. I'm sure there are a lot of stakeholders, but I think what we did at 2Octobers, which impressed me at least, was that we all had a hand in this. And yes, we are a small organization, but we had this goal that we all were working towards together. And because of that, everybody was invested. And everybody felt part of the success because we all had a hand in it.
One thing that you'll notice as people talk is they're super engaged in this process and excited about us being and becoming a B Corp. And I think one thing that I realized, and I'm not even sure I realized it during the time that we were working on it so much as now, like talking to people about it, is that we, in our personal lives, like values are sort of what defines us to a large extent. And we're expected to leave those values at home when we come to work. And when you bring the two together, honestly, it's kind of magical. Like I don't, and this is true for me. And I mean, this is a business that I started and it's been a huge part of my life for a while. But now I just feel more connected because I don't feel like there's a difference between the values I have in my personal life and in my work life. And I think you'll see that come through in how different people connected with different aspects of bringing their values to work or the values that we were exploring.
A big part of why I came to 2Octobers is because I'm so driven by company culture and just I feel like a huge part of that is looking after your employees because those are your biggest assets. And so it was really important to me to be part of that. And I thought it was pretty cool that I could have a voice in talking about what those things should look like as part of the B Corp process.
I'm definitely very passionate about the environment and just like our world in general. For me, I just really, really care about our planet and making sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that it's going to be here for future generations.
Being someone who's LGBTQ, I think it was important to me to be a part of how we were including that in our diversity practices. And then just given the state of the world, being someone who's diversity minded, making sure that we were including that in our practices was also important and valuable to me.
The way I was raised was you don't only take, you give it back, and giving it back to the community is very important to me. And that's how I live my life. And being able to draft that documentation so that we have a guidelines, is very important.
When I first heard about the possibility of becoming a B Corp, it kind of was like stunning to me how much it aligned with kind of what I believe about personal choice and making a difference through personal choice, like in how you want to, in this case, how we want to operate as 2Octobers. I'm not a strong believer in the idea of like forcing people to do what's right, if that makes sense. But I think if you give people, the opportunity and they're gonna, they can guide themselves through, basically make it easy enough and clear enough what you expect and set people up for success, and you can change things.
I also ask people how they feel like we've changed as a result of this process. And I honestly, I have nothing to add.
It does feel like exciting that we're part of like it just feels, I don't know, I'm taken care of. And I like that feeling that like I work for a really good company that treats the employees well and then like turns back and helps the community as well. And that's like a really good feeling.
I had never heard of B Corp. I think I had seen the logo once or twice, and it just seemed like such an unattainable thing to me. Like I got the concept once I read about it, and I was like, well, that's nice. I think a lot of people feel that way, but it's very rare to see somebody or an organization live up to those values. Like a lot of it, at least my initial thought was that a lot of it's just idealism. There's not really that much that goes into it. And then as we dived into the work and seeing the amount of work and seeing that, as a business, we decided to allocate resources to this and actually make it happen and just taking, just kind of leading that diversity goal group. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of business practice changes, a lot of, ethical discussions that happen and a lot of self-reflection and a lot of change. So there was definitely, if we look a year ago versus today, I mean, a lot has changed, not just for me, but I think just business practice as a whole. Just the level of discussions that we have, really living our values, not just in a, hey, here are our values in a document type of way, but I've seen it in our client work. I've seen it in our hiring practices, in so many different ways. So that's really interesting to be a part of that because I feel like that's not normal in the sense that I don't think most companies are willing to go to that level, to live their ideals.
It's just a good feeling to work for a company like this, and the fact that we're going to be even more intentional about some of the things we want to do going forward. It's just to work with a great group of people and collaborate and do good work, but also know that we're being intentional about trying to make a difference.
I feel like that a lot feels different for me in a really great way. Like I feel like we're having conversations about kind of general betterment of us as people, us as a organization that we had in the past, but now are more actionable, more detailed.
And so the way that we're different since going through this process is that we don't have to weigh these natural decisions that come up in day-to-day business. We don't have to, sort of suffer through what we should do as a business. We have defined what our values are. We have a compass, and it's really easy to make decisions about whether something's good for our employees and good for our business and good for the world.
This is a big milestone for us, but I think one of the things that I love about the people I work with is we're very happy to have achieved B Corp certification, but we're all talking about like what we can do from here. And I think that it's given us a strength and a cohesion that, and a focus that the kinds of conversations we're having, it's an honor to be part of this team.
I'm happy that we got the B Corp certification, but I don't think we should rest on our laurels, so to speak. I think we should try to be a leader in that space as opposed to just, achieving that one benchmark goal and then being, having a mini celebration for ourselves.
And I think that B Corp is a really great first step, and it's a really good system of kind of checking in for where we're at on the sliding scale. But ultimately, it would be kind of continuing to look at our B Corp processes for sustainability and locality and inclusion, to name a few, and then say, that was a great start. What's our impact? how do we do this better?
You ask me, where are we going to be in 2 years? I mean, my first thought is, or in a year, my first thought is who are the people that we're going to bring on going to be, and what's their story going to be? What can they contribute, and what will they teach us?
In one sense, becoming certified is really just a recognition of some of the great things that we've always done as an organization. But as you've heard, actually going through the process was really transformative for us. And I mean, the outcome is now we're part of this community that together is really changing the world of business and the world. So if you're interested, I haven't talked a lot about the nitty gritty, but please reach out and we'd love to share what worked and didn't work in more detail about becoming certified. Love to have you join us.